welcome back to part 9 of the Instagram app series. In the last part, we worked more on the profile here. We got some pictures coming in, we've got the header set up, and we also separated out our models and cleaned things up a little bit. We're going to pick up exactly where we left off. Make sure you destroy that like button. Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. Let's get into it. So profile, let's go back to that profile view controller and let's start cleaning it up and making it look a little more like what it'll look like in the end state. So the first thing we want to do is get rid of those background colors. So right now we made it, something's red in here clearly. So I think that's the collection view. So search for red right there. We can get rid of that. And we also want to, right now we tap on this collection view cell and nothing happens. But we also want to be able to tap on one of these cells, and we're going to design these headers first. So let's see, let's find where the collection view stuff is, and we're going to implement this function, which is what gets called when a user taps on a cell. And basically, we want to get the model and open post controller. So we're going to say let VC is post view controller. Go ahead and create it. And we're going to say vc.title is post, VC navigation item, large title display mode is never. And finally, we can just push this controller onto the navigation stack by saying push view controller, animated true. Now we actually need to get the model. So right now we're using test data. We're saying configure debug test. We've hard coded how many actual items to return. So let's come up here and we're going to create basically a array, and it's going to be user posts, and it'll be a user post array. And basically, what we should do, and I'll add it here for now, is return user post.count. We're going to comment it out because we're still building and testing. Here, what we're going to do is we're going to say the model is in user posts, the nth element. So we want to make sure that it's the whatever row we're at. This will only get called for the section with rows since we pass 0 here for the first section because of the header. We're going to comment this out in a second, but then we're going to say cell configure with model. Comment both of these out so your app doesn't crash. And to actually get the model here, we're going to say let model. And this is going to be, again, our user posts. Whoops, user posts with a lowercase one, index path dot row. And we're going to basically pass this model into post view controller. And this guy will be responsible for rendering each individual post. So let's open this up real quick. And let's start designing some stuff in here. So what we're going to do is we are going to create an initializer. And this initializer is going to take a model of a user post. And we're going to say self.model is the model. And let's see, what else do we want to do in here? We're going to say private let model is a user post. We're going to make this optional for now because we're testing. Hit Command B. We're going to want to bring in this required initializer that it's complaining about. Hit Command B one more time. And we also want to call super init. So come in here and you can simply call super init. And what else do we want? So super must call a designated initializer. We actually want super init with a nib name and a bundle. And you can pass in nil for both of those. Looks like we still have some errors. So let's see what's going on here. We need to update this to use our new initializer, and we can pass in nil for now. Once we have real data, we'll pass in the model. And let's go back to this guy and start designing this a little bit. I don't want to get too into it, but we're going to say view.background color is going to be system background. And basically on the screen, we're going to show the header up here with the poster's profile picture. We're also going to show an image view with either an image or a view rather with a video or an image, caption and comments. So the point I want to make is we're going to use a table view to do that. So let's quickly set up a pretty basic table view. Obviously, we're going to have to customize it quite a bit, which we will do in the upcoming videos. So go ahead and create that. And we don't really even need to register a cell here, but yeah, I guess that's good enough for now. We'll just leave it like that. And let's see, we want to add this as a subview. So we're going to say view add subview, and we're going to add that guy. We're going to set its delegate and its data source. And we want to override view did layout subviews. And we're going to set this guy's frame to be the entirety of the bounds of this view controller's view. We want to extend this view controller. So what is it? Post view controller to conform to the delegate and the data source. And in here, we're going to say number of sections is 0. We're just going to do 0 all around for now, so we don't have to deal with number of, what is it, rows. We don't have to deal with actually setting up all of this in this video, since we just want to mock it out for now. You also need cell for row. So you can actually just be lazy and do this, which we're going to come back to. And you also wanted select row at index path, and simply call deselect on it at the given index path, animated true. So let's see, hit Command B, should be compiling. And before we run it, let's take care of these headers. So we simply want to go to those headers, and we're going to go to the profile header collection reusable view first. And let's add some subviews in here. I like to add these marks to divvy up code. We're also going to want layout subviews to lay it out. And we're also going to want to call the super version of that function. And let's create our subviews. So on the profile header, there are a number of subviews. So let's talk about them. The first one is profile photo image view. And we're going to configure all of these with some custom attributes. But for now, let's just create them all first so I don't forget any. So we want one of these. And I think we're going to want 3 buttons. And we could actually use labels for the post count, follower count, and following count, but I think we're going to use buttons, and we might want to use custom buttons. So I'm going to call this follower, let's call this post button, posts plural button, and we'll make it a UI button, 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 like so. And let me copy and paste this for the following and followers, following, followers. And let's see what this actually looks like. So I'm going to quickly say Instagram iOS app profile. Let's go to Google Images. And let's see, what do we got going on up here? See if I can zoom in. So we have, we want to show their username. That's the title bar. We have the counts here. This looks misaligned. So let's find a different image that probably looks a little nicer. These are all super blurry and don't help the case. This is the old version. There we go. This is probably, no, it's also old. This one looks to be the current one. So we're gonna want another button for edit your profile, the user's name label, and their bio. So this one's also slightly old, but it's more closely looks like what the current version looks like. So these are buttons. We've got 3 of those. Let's add this edit profile button. So let me copy and paste this once more. And we're going to call this edit profile button. And then it looks like we need 2 labels in here. So let's copy and paste this once more. And we're going to call this name label, UI label, whoops, UI label, UI label, label, label. And one more time, and this one is going to be bio label. Let's see how many subviews we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 subviews, it looks like. So let's add all of these in the initializer. So I am going to say add subviews. And basically what we are going to do is private func add subviews. We're going to say content. Looks like there's no content view. It's a reusable view. So we can simply say add subview, the profile photo image, and there's 7 of them. So let's copy and paste this till we have 7, and we can change it. Followers button, following button, oops, post button, and what else do we have? Bio label, name label, and we also want that edit profile button. The order of this doesn't matter since we're going to lay out the subviews. And let's see, let's lay out those subviews. So let's see how we want to do these calculations. So the profile image is pretty straightforward. It looks to be about 1/4 of the width and circular. So we are first going to calculate the size of it. So profile photo size is going to be width over 4. Whoops, width over 4. And this width refers to this current view's width. And now we can say profile photo image view dot frame is a CG rect, should be an equal. With an XY width and height, we're going to say 5, 5, size and size dot integral. Let's see, we call this profile photo size, so we're going to make that profile photo size. We're going to update this one also, make this dot integral to round up all the numbers to the nearest integer. And let's also line break all of these and Control I to make it look nicer. And now we can copy and paste this. So we're going to copy this, let's paste it once down below. So now we want to calculate the width of each of these buttons here. So we know the height of both of these button sets should equal just about the height of the profile image. So we're going to say button height is the profile photo size over 2. And the width, we got to figure out. So let's see, button height, we haven't used yet, which is why it's complaining. And we're going to say count button width is going to be the width subtracting 10, so 5-point buffer on each side, subtracting profile photo image view, or we can just subtract the size because that is the actual width. And let's lay these out and let's see what they look like. So we're going to say, let's see what the order is. So the order is posts followed by following, and then no, followers and following. So we're gonna do post button dot frame, and let me be lazy and copy and paste this actually. So let's say post button, and then I think it was followers. Actually, before I copy and paste, let's change some of these. So the left is going to be here, profile image view dot right. Y is going to be 5. Width is going to be count button width, and the height is going to be button height. And now we can copy and paste. And the next one's going to be followers, and this one's going to be following. And the only thing that changes is the X. So in this case, we want it to be from the right of the posts button. And the following button, it should be the left from the followers button. So let's set some properties on this and run it and see where we are. So I'm just gonna set a background color to this. And for each of these buttons, let's just set a title. So we're gonna set a title, and we're gonna say, let's say posts, normal, and let's copy and paste that here. This one is going to be edit your profile. This one's going to be followers and following. And we also want the image view to be rounded, which is pretty simple to do. So here in the image view setup, update its layers to mask to bounds. And in layout subviews, what we can do here is we can say this image views layer corner radius is the size of the profile photo over 2.0. Go ahead and hit Command B, and let's, I think the color for the buttons will be correct. So let's say Command R and let's see what that looks like. Hopefully it's not totally screwed up. All right, cool. So we have got the image that looks to be in the right place. I'm also going to get rid of this background color, but this post button is totally screwed up. So let's see why that happened. So let's get rid of the background color here. Rather, let's update it to be system background. And let's see what happens. So the profile photo image view, it looks totally correct. Button width is the size divided by 2. So that does not look correct. Oh, this is the height. Okay, this is correct. Count button width is the width, whoops, is the total width subtracting 10, subtracting the profile size. We should divide this by 3 since we have 3 of those buttons. And now it should be correct. So let's open this up again. All right, looking good, looking good. So post, followers, and following. Let's set a background color to these just so I can see what the actual height is. So we're going to say button.background color is secondary system background. Go ahead and paste that, And we haven't set a frame for this edit one yet, but the height should accommodate it in just a moment. All right, so that looks about correct. So once we have the counts up here, we're gonna have 2 lines in these buttons. We're also gonna want to set actions on these. They look a little cramped with the backgrounds actually showing, but we'll see if we need to tweak it in a second. Let's do the edit button next. So let's do the edit button, copy and paste that, make this the edit button. The X remains the same. The Y will be 5 plus the height of the count button. This height stays the same, and this is going to be this multiplied by 3 since it's the entirety of the width. So let's run that and see what that looks like. All right, so that's screwed up. So the X should be profile photo image view.right. Let me lower my volume so you can set up a sound when your app compiles. I'll actually show you guys how to do that, but okay, that looks to be about right. We might have to add some buffer here, which I think we can pretty easily, but I think this is sufficient for now. It looks to be uneven over here, but since we're not gonna have a background color, should be good to go. And now we're gonna add the name label and the bio label. So something that we are gonna have to handle is right now we have a fixed height for this header, but based on how long a user's bio is, we should only have the height be high enough to accommodate its size. So we probably won't do that in this video, but we'll briefly talk about it. For now, the fixed height is probably good enough. If you do Command-Shift-A, you'll notice that this changes color, but the button text color here is always white. So we're gonna wanna handle that as well. So let's actually do that real fast since it's pretty easy. So for the button, we're gonna say set title color, and it's gonna be label normal. Go ahead and just copy and paste that to each of these. And we are also going to, before we do the actual, the label layout, we're gonna want a delegate. So I made this final so nobody can subclass it. You don't have to, but that's why I'm doing that. But we're gonna create a protocol called this class name delegate. And you're gonna wanna make it any object so we can make it week. We're gonna want to add a public week var called delegate. And this is how we're going to get the button tap interactions out. So we're going to want 4 functions in here. And the first one is going to be profile header, a reference to the header. What we can do is profile header did tap posts button. Go ahead and copy and paste this 3 more times, and we're going to want did tap followers button, following button, and edit profile button. Hit Command B, should be compiling like so. And let's set up those label layouts real quick before I forget in this video. So the name label is going to be, we're going to copy and paste again. This is going to be the name label. The X is going to simply be 5. The Y is going to be 5 plus profile. Let me add a space here. Profile photo image view dot bottom. The width can be width subtracting 10, and the height we're going to say is 50, since we're going to have the name be on one line. And the bio label is where it gets a little more interesting. So the bio label, X is fine, Y is going to be the name label bottom, width is fine. Now the height is going to be variable. So the way we're going to do the height is we're going to figure out the size. We're going to call this bio label size, and this is going to be size that fits. So we want, let's see, bio label size that fits, and we're going to pass in self.size. I should be able to pass in self.frame.size. We actually don't need the self. And this should return based on whatever text we have already, what the width should be. So off of this, the width and the height, we can say this dot height. And before I also forget, for these labels, we want to assign some more properties. So I'm going to say label dot text color is label, label dot number of lines for the name is 1. And for the bio label, it's 0. So this will line wrap like that. And we also probably want this to be bold. So we might need to use an attributed string, which we'll do later. Let's simply set a text to this for now. So we're going to say Joe Smith. And I totally forgot what bio I gave him, or even if I gave him one. So I'm going to say, this is the first account. So hit Command B. And before we run it, let's actually hook the delegate up too. So for each of these buttons, we're going to want to add actions, and we're just almost about time for this video, so let's do it real fast. So we're going to say add button actions, and let's create that function here. And it's good practice to keep your code pretty modular like this. I personally really like doing it that way, and I encourage you to do it also. Makes every function pretty on point and doing one thing. So we're going to say follower button, add target, self selector did tap follower button, and the event is touch up inside. Let's be lazy and copy and paste this. And you're going to get errors because we don't have those functions created yet, but bear with it for a second. This one's following, posts, and edit. And this one is going to be did tap following. So next one will be did tap posts, and did tap edit profile. Let's go ahead and create these functions real fast. So let's do it at the bottom here so we keep our code slightly clean. We'll say actions. And we need to expose this to Objective-C so we can use it as a selector. So we're going to have did tap follower, following, posts, and edit. Unnecessary line breaks, let's get rid of those. And this one should be following, This one should be posts with capital P. And this one should be edit profile. Hit Command B. Everything should compile now. Now in these actual functions, we're going to leverage the delegate, and we're going to say did tap follower button. And this is how we can actually convey to the view controller what happened. So the view controller can handle it rather than this view class, so we can stay in design pattern. So this one is going to be did tap following. So you're passing in self, which is a reference to this current view, which is the parameter type that we gave it. So did tap posts. It's kind of just good practice, so the recipient knows where the call came from. And this one will be did tap edit, like so. Go ahead and hit Command R now. Let's make sure our name labels are there and our bio label. Let's hit this. All right, looking good. Now, obviously, the height of this is higher than what we want it to be. And right now, tapping these, nothing happens. So before we wrap up, we are going to go to the profile view controller. And the place where we create that header, which is this header right here, we can now say, after this, make a new line, dot delegate, which if you notice the type on the left here as we type it, is our custom type. We can say this is self, and it's going to complain that we don't conform to this delegate. So we're going to come down here and add an extension to this view controller. And let me add a mark statement here. And we're going to write an extension to the profile view controller and have it conform. We could write everything out ourselves, or it'll give us this error. You hit this and hit fix, and it'll stub everything out for you. And let's see what we want to do in here. So let's get rid of all these code blocks, and we're not going to actually implement all of these right now, obviously, but let's stub them out bare minimum. So in the posts button, what we're going to do is scroll to the posts section. So what does that look like? So I think off the collection view, there is a scroll to item at index path. And the index path we can pass in is pretty simple with a section and a row. Let's see, index set. We want an index path, not a set. So we're going to create an index path with a section and a row. Here it is. So the row is going to be 0 and section is going to be 1, which is where our images start. And this is an animation. So we're going to say this is going to be, this is the position. So at the top, and animated will be true. So that one's pretty easy. This one, we want to open up the list controller to show the user's followers. So the list controller, I think we called it just a list view controller. We're simply going to do that, and we're going to say navigation controller, push VC, animated true. Let's give this a title of followers. And let's also say VC navigation item dot large title display mode is never. And let's go ahead and copy and paste these for the following button and change the title here. We would obviously now want to pass in data or something else, but we're not going to do that now. And for the edit profile button, we're going to say the VC that we want to present is the edit profile view controller. So go ahead and create that. We're going to say vc.title is edit profile. And we're going to present this controller. So we're going to say present a navigation controller. So we're going to wrap this view controller in a UI navigation controller with a root controller, animated true, hit Command B. Cross our fingers, nothing crashes, hit Command R to run. Now let's try hitting these buttons. So we hit this edit and we get the edit screen. Obviously we're missing all the data here, but let's see what else works. We hit posts and we scroll down to our posts, which I like. Maybe we wanted to scroll down here where we're gonna have the buttons here. If we hit followers, it opens up this controller. And the reason there's a bit of a lag is because there's no background color here, even though it looks like there is. If we change to light mode, you see it's still black. And yeah, that's how we're gonna hook that up. And let's get rid of this orange on this other header, which we'll do in the next video. This should be system background, hit Command R, and now this looks more like what we want. We can change to light mode, making progress, and I'll probably wrap it up here. If you haven't destroyed the like button already, make sure to do so. As always, super helps out with the video and channel in general, helps me make more videos for all of you. Hit subscribe while you're at it if you haven't done so already as well. Comment with any errors, questions, suggestions, feedback, whatever it may be. Love hearing from you all. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next part.